Welcome to RecoveryTV. We have a very special segment. We're going to talk about 5 reasons women have affairs, so don't go anywhere. Welcome to RecoveryTV. I'm here with my special guest, Erin Bellamy, who's a licensed professional therapist, and we're going to talk to you today about 5 reasons women have affairs. But before we begin, I'll ask you to please subscribe to our channel if you like the videos that we're producing, and don't forget to ring that bell so that you can be notified as newer videos are posted. So we're just going to get right to it, and we're going to talk about 5 reasons women have affairs. And Erin Bellamy is a licensed professional counselor, and she has taken special interest in working with women who are dissatisfied in their relationships. And so Erin, first let's talk about why is it important to talk about this to begin with?
One of the things that I keep seeing in my practice is that, women come in and they're dissatisfied in their relationships, and over time it comes out that they have had an affair and they're feeling so much guilt and so much shame, and it's something I see quite a bit. And I think stereotypically we tend to think of infidelity as something that men are doing, but the statistics are showing otherwise, that women are now having affairs just as much as men are. But there's a lot of cultural kind of expectations surrounding that, and so women are feeling more shame and guilt, and they're less likely to seek help or even talk to some of their closest friends and family about it.
Absolutely. As a therapist that also works in the field of betrayal trauma is one thing that we call it. It does seem to be more stigmatized against women. It's kind of weird to say it that way, because isn't cheating bad for everybody or anybody that does it? And it's true that it is shameful for men too, but it does seem that it's much more shameful. We're much harder on women in our culture when they cheat versus men.
Yep, absolutely. And that can be very detrimental, because if a woman feels a lot of shame and stigma, she's less likely to seek help.
So Erin, tell us some of the reasons that you're seeing in your practice, and probably things that you've also read about on why women have affairs.
One of the first things that comes to mind is self-discovery. For a married woman, possibly with children, her life, the reality of her life may look like shuttling kids back and forth to activities, going to the grocery store, preparing meals, doing things with school, a lot of things that maybe drain her emotional energy and zap her sex drive, and she feels very unsexy in her normal life. But then this fantasy opportunity comes along, and it creates this kind of powerful feeling of being beautiful and sexy and desired, and so she can kind of discover or rediscover a part of herself that she feels like has been missing from her life as a mom or life as a wife.
Right. And I'm glad that you've made that the very first item that we're talking about, because I really do think that that is a very powerful theme even in men who cheat, that infidelity has often little to do with sex or sexuality, and a lot to do with other things like desire and self-discovery.
Yeah, it's more about like who she feels like she can be in this fantasy life, because all of these things that maybe make her feel undesirable aren't part of that relationship. Right. So another reason that women have affairs is that they're able to relive the past. I've heard women say to me, gosh, I feel again like I felt when I was in high school, or this freedom and this emotion that I'm experiencing reminds me of this great time from my past. And so they're kind of reliving some experience or some person that they feel like they used to be. And it might be some feeling that they haven't experienced in years, and they become almost addicted to that feeling of, gosh, I forgot what it was like to be this person. So a third reason that women have affairs is for novelty. A recent study showed that women who have affairs are having very frank discussions about sex with their affair partners. And these are oftentimes discussions that they don't feel comfortable having with their spouses, or maybe they've had discussions about their deepest sexual fantasies with their spouse, and their spouse has said, no way, I'm not going to do that. And so they're able to be open about sexuality, whereas maybe they aren't able to do that within their marriage.
Right. And sexologists often have very different views and understandings and beliefs and approaches to helping people and couples in sexuality, but it seems like one thing that they seem to all agree on is really good communication. And communication can actually be erotic and be novel in itself, but we do know that novelty is really necessary to keep a relationship healthy, not just sexually, not just in the bedroom, but also outside of the bedroom. And so if you're thinking that because you want novel things that there's something wrong with you or you don't appreciate what you have, no, that just makes you human.
So a fourth reason that women have affairs is just the opportunity. We tend to think that, men are the ones who will be opportunistic when it comes to having an affair, but in actuality, a lot of women reported being really happy with their marriages,
right,
but yet they still had affairs just because the opportunity presented itself. But I think it's important to mention that we just don't really think of women as taking sexual opportunities in that way. It's more stereotypical that we think men are going to be the ones who, if the opportunity presents itself, but the research shows that it's actually women do it too. Okay, so the fifth reason that women have affairs is that they're preparing to leave the marriage. A lot of times men have affairs in order to stay in the marriage, but women will have affairs in order to make that bridge to leave the marriage. It's kind of like they get one foot out the door and then that gives them more momentum if they're thinking about leaving.
Right. I believe Esther Perel has talked about that in one of her famous TED Talks called Rethinking Infidelity, which I'll put a link to that in the description of this video below. It's a great talk. I'd encourage you to go watch it. So there you have it, 5 reasons that women tend to have affairs, and yes, women have affairs too. But I think the question you might now be asking is, what do I do about it?
And that's a great question. You can read a lot of books, you can listen to podcasts, you can surf the internet for help and information, but really if you are involved in an affair and you're having a lot of guilt or you're considering having an affair, it's really important to go see a therapist.
And although there are a lot of couples therapists out there, there are probably really good therapists, we would encourage you to actually find somebody that specializes in working with betrayal trauma or affair recovery. Those are some keywords that you might be searching for or looking for in their profiles.
Yeah, finding a good therapist that's a good fit for you to address your particular situation is really important and is really going to help you navigate some of these issues.
I really appreciate you watching this video and spending time with us on RecoveryTV. I'm going to put links in the description of this video below. There's going to be links to Erin and some of her material that she's put out there, but also I'm going to put some other links that are just make for good resources for you to search through and peruse through, and maybe even a therapist directory or two where you can search for great therapists in your area to help you with this issue. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.